Hey, what's happening, gamers? Welcome back to Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright Trilogy for the Nintendo Switch, brought to you by Capcom. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, because we are doing more of Ace Attorney. So, it's time for us to start the trial once again of the stolen Turnabout.
Ooh.
October 14th, 9:41 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 4.
Hey, Nick!
What is it this time?
You won't believe how many people were here for the trial.
Well, it is a murder case, so...
What are you talking about? They're here for the trial next door.
Next door?
What? You don't know, Nick? They're having Detective Atmey's trial today.
Detective Atmey's trial?
They said that going to try him as mask to mask.
Already? That was fast.
Boy, I'd love to see mask to mask trial. I know.
By the way, where's Pearls at?
Oh, she went back home. She said she can't neglect her training anymore.
What? I know you don't like me.
This?
Pearls has really gotten into her training lately, huh?
Yeah, ever since that incident last year.
Please, don't ignore me! Well, how were we supposed to know it was you?
Oh, Mr. Delite, good morning.
No one likes me. No one would notice me even if I killed someone.
Come on, don't be so silly. Wait a sec.
You don't mean you're the murderer? No. I'm just a poor thief. No, wait, that's not right. Thief can't really
Be poor.
Oh, okay, sorry. Now let's see. According to Mr. Delite, from his second crime on, he was following a bunch of set plans. Plans that someone had been sending to him to help him commit the heists.
Do you really think there's a connection between the chief and the murderer, Nick?
It's possible, but today's trial is a race against the clock.
Huh? How come? Let's just take our time like always.
I'm afraid that's not an option.
Huh? Maybe because we have to get him off before that other guy gets off next door.
Probably. Court is now in session for the trial of Ron Delite. The defense is ready, Your Honor. You're ready? Preparation is the last refuge of the weak. All right, settle down, everyone. Let's begin with your opening statement, Mr. Godot. He's got the judge in the palm of his hand yet again. Huh, Ron Delite is simply too young to be sent to war. That's all. I'm afraid I have no idea what that means, Mr. Godot. Huh, then you need to get out more, Your Honor. Life is war. But that is exactly why you must be more precise in your wording. That's all my statement means. You understand now, right? I suppose yes. Well then, let me briefly summarize the details for this case. Wow, the judge is taking charge like he knows what's going on for a change. The victim is Kane Bullard, CEO of KB Security.
That's funny, I've never seen him do that before.
Well, there's a first time for everything. His body was found in a safe at approximately 9 in the morning on the 13th. However, the time of death was estimated as 1 a.m. of the previous day. And that's when our little lost kitten dropped the ball. That little lost kitten is, of course, the defendant.
But if he's a kitten, how could he be evil?
I don't know. Very well, Mr. Godot. Please call your foot witness. Delicious. I never drink more than 17 cups of coffee during any given trial.
Oh my god.
But the first one is always the best.
That's a lot of coffee.
Mr. Godot, your witness, please. He's an addict. Okay then, let's hear what the defendant, Mr. Ron Delite, has to say for himself. The defendant? Well, Mr. Wright, does the defense have any objections? It may be a bit of a... Whoops. It may be a bit of a disadvantage having the defendant testify, but... I remember when Mia was defending me. She allowed me to testify so she could do the cross-examination. She put a lot of trust in me back then. We have no objections, Your Honor. The defense will allow Mr. Delite to testify. Huh. You've got guts, Trite. It's right. All right then, Mr. Ron Delite, please take the stand. Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, so many characters at once. You did it, didn't you? Yes!
Huh?
What? No, that's not true.
Oh my gosh. Why would he say that?
For a moment there, I thought we'd set the record for the shortest trial ever.
I know. Huh. Well, Mr. Delite really looks plenty guilty. Well, that face he's making.
And once he opens his big mouth, he'll probably put the last nail in his own coffin.
Yep.
Ha! Very well. Now then, can you tell me something? If you didn't kill Bullard, why did you go to KB Security? Well, that's kind of hard to say. Boy, I wish I could go home. Now then, let's hear the testimony about what happened. Alright, Ronnie, what do you got? My visit to KB Security. That evening, around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his office at KB Security. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. I had been working for KB Security until a year ago, so I knew where this office was. That was short.
Okay.
1 a.m., the exact time the murder took place. Not good. The weak get washed away by the tides of fate. The strong drink it up. Yep. Ha! It's bitter today, too, just like my destiny.
Okay. You never know that from the way he's chugging it down.
Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please. Okay, my visit to KB Security. That evening around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his security office.
I guess we should just press everything, I don't know.
Okay. 1 a.m., huh? You're absolutely sure about that? Yes. That's what my watch said when I entered the CEO's office. No, that's not right. Actually, I'm not really sure. My watch was slow, and my internal clock was a bit... 1 a.m., that's the exact time the victim, Mr. Bullard, was murdered.
Oh, your character's voice, like, fades off. That's why the
Yeah.
words fade off.
It's too late for a coffee date, that's for sure. The blackmail letter I got, it ordered me to go there. It ordered you there? It was the first time I'd gotten a blackmail letter that ordered me to go somewhere. Does that mean you've gotten other blackmail letters then? Oh, of course. They'd say things like, steal this or take that. Ha! Why don't you save those for later, Mr. Delite? Please don't say anymore. Now, what should I do? Press harder. So, what did the blackmail letter in question say? It said to bring 50,000... Money? Huh, a perfect motive for committing a crime. No, wait! I never intended to pay that money anyway. Oh, is that right? After all, he had nothing to hold over my head. I had nothing to be afraid of. An important point indeed. Witness, let's have that added to your testimony. Yes, sir. Ha! I don't understand why you say ha, but a midi mud skipper in outer space has a better chance of surviving than I do. Weird. The blackmail, didn't threaten or scare me. It was going to cause me anything but trouble.
Hold it.
You got it. Just what were you being blackmailed about anyway? The blackmail letter said if you don't want your identity revealed, correct? I'm sure it was referring to the whole mask thing. But I wasn't worried. Mr. Bullard didn't have anything on me. He didn't? Anyway, I don't care what anyone says about me. Just as long as Desi believes in me. So that's why Miss Delite didn't believe he was masked to mask. That's why I knew, they were just hollow threats. I'd been working for the security until... Hold it. You used to be a security guard, chief security for KB.
Wow.
Yes, that's right. A security chief? You? And yet, a year ago, you were fired without notice. Revenge for an old grudge, or a perfect motive for a murder, wouldn't you say? This isn't good. Maybe I should change the subject. Life after being fired. Why was he fired?
Yeah, why was he fired?
Okay. Mr. Delite, please tell us why you were fired from your job. Well... The world is filled with those who have said, I wish I'd never asked. Okay, then I take it... Defendant, please answer the question. I needed money. You needed money? Well, you see, Desi loves to spend it. She's kind of, it's her hobby.
Not exactly the best hobby in the world, huh, Nick?
My salary wasn't nearly enough, a security guard's isn't, so I stole data from the company. Come again?
Data?
KB Security has a lot of security info on all sorts of companies, and since I was a security team chief, you stole some data and sold it. Mr. Bullard found out and I was fired immediately. What? I wish I had never asked that. I was somehow able to keep it a secret and made it seem like I'd quit on my own.
What is it, Nick? You don't look so good.
Someone who brings harm to their company is fired as punishment. You do well to remember that.
He sure told you, huh?
So you admit that you stole data from your company, is that correct? Yes, I'm sorry. Okay.
Aww.
This is a very important fact. Please add it to your testimony.
Oh, wow. Again?
Oh man, this whole thing just took a big turn for the worse. Crashed up and then blew up.
Yep.
It's gonna take the jaws of life to rip this case from the clutches of disaster. If anybody can do it, it's Phoenix Wright. He fired me for selling company secrets, but Desi doesn't know about it.
Hold it.
Why would... Oh, wrong character. Why would you do something like that? Well, for Desi's hobby, what else? Wasting money, huh? It's not a waste. Oh, it's not a waste?
So Miss Delite doesn't know that her husband was fired, does she?
So it would seem.
I'm not sure what to think about couples who keep secrets like that from each other.
I can't believe it. This case has gotten even Maya to think seriously about couples. Please try to stay focused, Mr. Wright.
There wasn't much to his testimony, was there?
Sounds like he's avoiding something. At least, that's what it sounds like to me.
Uh-oh. I've got a bad feeling about this, Nick. We'd better be careful.
But if we don't find a way to make him spill the beans, we'll never get closer to the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's done all of this testimony. The blackmail letter feels like it's important, and where he was talking about why he was fired. But... I'm trying to think.
Oh, you already...
I pressed him on everything.
Did you already... What statement is the first statement that he made?
The evening around 1 a.m., he went to see Mr. Bullard, and then the second one is the blackmail letter he got. So for the different pieces of evidence that we have... Oh. Okay. Well... The blackmail letter I got ordered me to go there.
No.
Evening around 1 a.m., I went to see Mr. Bullard in his security office. Okay, so we don't have a lot of evidence. The only thing that I would say would be a threat for him, the thing that he's talked about a couple times, is his wife. So I would probably, this might be wrong, but I would present Desi.
Yeah, why does he say blackmail doesn't scare him? Every human being is scared of blackmail.
And it looks like I hit the honeypot. Mr. Delite, what you said just now doesn't match what you told me yesterday.
Oh, good job, Luke.
Huh? What doesn't? I think you must have been scared, very scared, of having a certain person find out your secret. A certain person? Miss Desiree Delite, the defendant's wife. What? But Listen to me, my Desi, she's... Looks like if I just sit back and relax, the fun will end before it truly begins.
Okay.
Godot. Yes, we know. It was all your wife's fault. What do you mean? Mr. Delite stole company data to pay for his wife's spending habit, for which he was fired. Unable to face his own wife, someone used his dirty little secret to blackmail him. And that is how this murder came about. Oh, No, everything is falling neatly into place for him. Don't talk about my Desi like that, or you'll be sorry!
Whoa.
That's not a good thing to do. Well, it seems that we've learned a great deal of things here so far.
What do you think, Nick?
I didn't think it was possible to get so thoroughly whipped in just 20 minutes. Clearly, there was sufficient motive for murder. He stole data for his wife, and he killed to protect his secret. A family man who cared just a little too much.
Okay. I don't think so.
The motive is clear. Let's move on. Ugh. What happened at the crime scene at 1 a.m., Mr. Delite? Come on, tell us. We're all ears. At the CEO's office. He got whomped on the head. That's what happened. When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow there. Suddenly, I was hit on the forehead. After that, I remember being a bit dazed. If I hadn't been wearing that, I would have been killed. When I came to, Mr. Bullard was lying there dead. I see. Suddenly hit on the forehead, huh? I believe the detective from yesterday provided a similar testimony. Or he stole that person's testimony. He said that Mash de Mash struck him on the head from behind. Of course, since Atme turned out to be the culprit himself, that was all a lie. Huh. No one's gonna believe a pathetic lie like that. What are you saying? I really was attacked! Well, find out if what you say is true or not during the cross-examination. Got that, Mr. Trite? Don't go easy just because he's your client. If I see any sign that you are, I'll treat you to another cup of my special blend to the face.
Oh my gosh.
You don't need to worry about that, Mr. Godot. I have faith in Ron. I know he didn't do it. I should probably wear a helmet to court.
I know.
Alright, so probably press everything.
Oh.
When I entered the office... Hold it! Who was this suspicious shadow? Blah, blah, blah. If there were 1,000 of me, and even if one knew, I'd tell you. Trust me.
He's dodging all of our questions. It's not helping us win this case at all.
Okay, then how was the victim, Mr. Bullard? How was the victim, Mr. Bullard, at that time? Probably alive. What do you mean by how was he? Was he already dead? Was he still alive? Maybe he was the one who hit you in the first place. That's a good question. What do you think, Mr. Wright?
Huh?
Forget it.
So he doesn't know.
No. Suddenly I was hit. Boom.
Objection.
Your forehead, right? Yes, I was hit on the forehead as soon as I entered the room. It was an amazing, fast, and powerful attack. Do you remember anything about who hit you? Well, like I said, it was fast and a powerful hit. So I think it was a little dazed for a while.
I don't think Mr. Delite even grasped what you're even asking, Nick.
Yeah, I'd like to show him a fast and powerful attack myself. Maybe that would knock some sense into him. Nick, if I hadn't been wearing that, what is that?
Yeah.
That's gotta be important. That? Could you please clarify what you were referring to? Why, my mask. Costume, of course. Wait just a moment, Mask de Mask! Huh? Oh, did I forget to mention it before? Just to be on the safe side, I dressed as Mask de Mask. And then I descended upon the office of the CEO, KB Security. What?
Nick, did you even know about this? You never told me about this.
I don't recall him ever mentioning it to me either. Even I didn't know that. It seems our little friend really loves to keep secrets. I'm sorry, I just never had a chance to mention it up until now. I mean, he's dressed as it. wait, that's not right. You know how sometimes things slip your mind? Huh. My 6th cup of coffee is starting to get cold. Okay. At any rate, we can't ignore this new piece of information. Witness, please correct your testimony. I'd have been killed if I hadn't been wearing my costume. Why were you dressed up as Master Mask? Why? Because I'm Master Mask, of course. What are you talking about? Master Mask trial is being held next door. Oh, yes, I guess so. Anyway, at that time, I thought it was being blackmailed over the Master Mask issue. So I thought I should go as him, just to be safe. Oh boy. Let me tell you, it's a real pain to move around with that cape. That's why it took a lot longer than I expected. It took a lot longer? What is he talking about? Press harder.
Press harder.
What do you mean by took a lot longer? Oh, opening the safe, of course. Oh, my cape got caught on the safe door, you see. This all happened when I was hiding Mr. Bullard's body. What was that? Back up a second. Yes? You were the one that hid the body in the safe? Well, yes. Inconceivable! Interesting. Why, just why? What reason could you have had? What were you thinking? Question. When does someone toss their dirty shorts in the washing machine? What? The answer is simple. It is when they take them off.
Okay.
As usual, I have no idea what you're saying whatsoever. Do you mean that Mr. Delite hid the body because he's the murderer? Huh. So you're not as stupid as you look.
His metaphor this time was really obscure.
Mr. Wright, you don't mean that you knew about this whole safe business, do you? Well, yes. Why am I the only one not in the loop yet? He's not happy. Witness, make sure you add this to your testimony. Yes, sir. Uh-oh. Looks like a storm front is moving in over the fair weather judge. I panicked and hid the body in the safe. It took about 10 minutes.
I guess did we already hold it?
Now we did. Why did you hide the body in the safe anyway? Well, because it wouldn't fit in a drawer? That's not exactly what I meant. When I saw that corpse, I kind of lost it. I thought, if they find this corpse, they'll think I did it. Huh. I think you had a simpler reason than that. It's because you killed him. That's why you spent 10 minutes hiding the body. That certainly makes more sense. Yeah. Hold on. 10 minutes.
What is it, Nick?
I just had a thought. Under those circumstances, would you normally try to hide the body? And spend 10 whole minutes trying to do it?
Under those circumstances? What circumstances? Oh! Hey, Nick, if you think his behavior was so strange, why don't you present some evidence that would show just what those circumstances were?
That's it! I'll take a look at the court record and present some evidence.
We heard this from Mr. Delite yesterday, didn't we?
There's not much in this testimony either.
I bet you he's still hiding something.
I wouldn't be surprised. We'll just have to draw it out of him.
I just hope he doesn't make things any more complicated.
When I entered the office, there was a suspicious shadow. Okay, so... it was hit on the forehead, we already did that. We already did that. Okay. This is the one. That 10 minutes thing.
10 minutes? Why would it be 10 minutes?
10 minutes is important. What do we have about a list? Buzzer record.
The buzzer went off at 1:02 a.m.
10 minutes, but... okay. Your Honor, could you please take a look at this record, please? And what might this be? The record for the emergency buzzer that connects the CEO's office to security. If the button in the office is pressed, the security team is supposed to come running. And according to this record, the buzzer was pressed once at 1:02 a.m. What? If Ron Delite truly was the murderer, he would have ran as soon as that buzzer sounded. After all, a security guard would have been heading his way. Let's remember who we're dealing with here. He probably had no idea there were security personnel in the building. Yes, he did.
As head of the security.
Exactly. Up until 1 year ago, my client was working as chief of security. There's no way he wouldn't have known about them. Wow. But, as it turns out, the guard never came. That was nothing more than a coincidence. The fact that the guard was a pathetic loser who had just gotten punched in the face by his ex's new boyfriend and wasn't anywhere in the vicinity was not something Mr. Delite could have known.
He just burned Larry.
Again, remember who we're dealing with here. It's a sure bet that Delite didn't even notice the buzzer going off. It's loud. This buzzer is extremely loud. There's no way he could have ignored something like that. If he had, he'd been conscious, that is. Conscious? What do you mean by that? Ugh. Oh, he cooled off. Fine. Let's hear your theory. Okay. Recall the defendant's testimony. The moment he had entered the victim's office, someone had attacked him. Mr. Delite said he felt dazed. I'm willing to wager that he was knocked unconscious for at least a few minutes. Unconscious? So he fainted? That's why Mr. Delite didn't know that the buzzer had sounded. And that's why he thought he had time to hide the body, because he woke up way later. So what you're trying to say, Mr. Delite was knocked out and the buzzer went off soon afterwards at 1:02. Now, unless my client was able to hit the buzzer while he was unconscious, it can only mean that there was another person in that room. And that's right. Ouch. Whoever it was that knocked out Ron Delite then pressed the buzzer. Because he wanted the security team to come and arrest Master Mask.
Yeah.
Order in the court, Mr. Knight. This is preposterous. It was this kid. Ron Delite is the one who killed Kane Bullard. Going back and forth. Then who pressed the buzzer? It was the victim, of course. Can't be. His time of death was 1 a.m. He pressed the buzzer when the defendant attacked him. He didn't die right away. He must have held on long enough to push that button. So Kane Bullard sounded the buzzer himself? What is your opinion on this, Mr. Knight? Need to prove that the real criminal was there at the scene, but how? The buzzer. I can prove that it wasn't Kane Bullard who sounded the buzzer. Yes, I can.
Yeah, you can. I think.
The defense opinion is this, Your Honor. This piece of evidence proved that it wasn't the victim who sounded the buzzer. Oh, where is the buzzer? There. Gotcha. I believe this piece of incontrovertible evidence. Yeah, thank you.
Incontrovertible evidence.
You were looking for. Launch the emergency buzzer? Is there some kind of clue on it? Absolutely not. What? Hey, come on now. At least give me some thought to what you say before opening your mouth. The fact that there were absolutely no clues in itself is the clue. Now I'm the one who's clueless. This button has no fingerprints on it. If Mr. Bullard had really pressed it himself, naturally he would have left his fingerprints behind. Oh! Ron Delite obviously wiped them off. With what? Why would he? A guard could have come in at any moment. He hadn't known. He touched that button. I know he did. The defendant, Mr. Delite, was dressed as Master Mask. And Master Mask always wears gloves. What reason could he possibly have had to wipe the button for fingerprints? Order! Huh. It would seem. Nope, he's fine. Dang it. I've been forced to eat crow.
I wonder what blend number crow flavored coffee is.
However, if the real killer was there at the scene, why would that person press the emergency buzzer? Shouldn't they, run away without putting themselves in extra danger?
They were framing him.
I think you're right, Amber. What was with this awkward silence all of a sudden? Huh. It looks like you're fresh out of parlor tricks.
They're on to you, Nick!
Just give me a moment to collect my thoughts. Okay, the real culprit killed Mr. Bullard at around 1 a.m. Mr. Delite just happened to waltz in when the murder was taking place. The killer clobbered Mr. Delite and then sounded the buzzer to frame him.
Even though security was supposed to respond right away if the buzzer was pressed.
Security was supposed to respond. Alright, time's up, Mr. Knight. Let's hear what you have to say. Very well, then. Oh-ho, we've got some guts. I like that in an opponent. Why did the real killer sound the emergency button? To call the security guard.
Yeah.
The killer knew that if he pressed that button, a guard would come running. And that was exactly what they wanted. You mean to say the killer called the guard on purpose? Yes. Although, as it turned out, he never showed up.
Because he was getting his clock cleaned at the time.
What a touching story. You're saying the killer had a change of heart and called the guard to turn himself in? No. No, I'm not. When the buzzer sounded, there were 3 people in that office. The victim, Kane Bullard, who was already dead. The defendant, Maste Mask, who was out cold. And the third person, the real killer. Hypothetically, yes. Now then, in this situation, if the real killer made an escape, what would happen? The only ones left in the room would be the victim and Ron. And if any security guards came running in at that time, they would think that I was the murderer.
Oh yeah, that's why he knocked him out, so that
Yes.
he would be stuck
You got it,
there.
Amber. That was precisely the real killer's objective, to frame my client. Oh, wow. He doesn't believe it. Oh, never mind. Order! Now we'll probably get to pick who framed him. Ha! It would seem I've been made to eat my words once again.
Actually, you've been made to do a spit take with a cup of coffee.
Mr. Wright, who is it? Who is it who tried to frame me? Wait a second. I'm the one and only Maste Mask, so...
Nick, you mean the real killer is...
We're going to drag that person in here right now. Well, actually, we'll drag them in tomorrow, but...
But who is it?
I don't have any solid proof yet, but think about it. The killer knew Mr. Delite's identity, and they also knew that he had been called to KB security that night. So the killer used him to execute a well-crafted plan to murder Kane Bullard. Interesting. Now then, let's hear your accusation, Mr. Wright. Who was it that framed Mr. Delite for the murder of Kane? That would be... Luke Atme.
Yeah.
This guy. Detective Luke Atme. He's the one and only who could have done it. Ace Detective. Luke Atme? You mean Maste Mask did it? No. Your Honor, the person being tried in the court next to us is not Maste Mask at all.
Huh?
He is, in actuality, the true murderer of Kane Bullard. Hold on! Mr. Knight, explain yourself! The theft and murder, which is the more serious of the crime. They're not even close. Murder is way more serious a crime, of course. It's a capital crime subject to capital punishment. Please remember the trial from yesterday, if you would. When Luke Atme confessed that there was a huge commotion in the courtroom, of course, a famous detective was unmasked as well as Maste Mask. Instead of being convicted of murder, he was found guilty of grand larceny. That was his true objective all along. To be found guilty? Master Mask had the perfect alibi for when the murder took place. He was stealing the urn at Lordly Taylor. In other words, he appeared on camera on purpose. Being found guilty as Master Mask was Luke Atme's watertight and unaccessible alibi. A guilty verdict. As an alibi? Smart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost time. For what? For Luke Atme's verdict. It was pretty simple trial after all. If we're gonna stop this trial and stall that one, we need to do it now. Of course. That's assuming you have proof that the detective was the one who committed the murder. Huh? Luke Atme's trial has indeed attracted the attention of the entire country. If we're to intrude and fail to provide adequate proof of his crime, Mr. Delite would be left with no grounds for appeal. I'm really sure about this. Huh. Bet's only good when your life's the ante.
Mr. Wright, I believe in you.
Mr. Delite.
So please, I'm begging you.
Thanks, but my decision will determine the rest of your life. Can I really risk your life like this? Oops.
I don't know, probably me,
Yeah.
Phoenix.
Huh? What was that?
Don't stray, Phoenix. For your client, take the path of trust.
That voice! It sounded like... Mia? Your Honor, the defense requests an immediate recess. Huh. So that's your answer? Alright, very well. I've decided as well. This court will now take a 20-minute recess. Mr. Wright, when we return, please summon Mr. Luke Atme to the stand. Yes, Your Honor. Okay. October 14th, 11:54 a.m. District Courtroom, courtroom number 5.
Well, Sir Detective Atme. I have to say, Mr. Payne, you performed splendidly. Oh no, Sir Detective Atme, you were the one who...
Oh my gosh.
That's enough. This court sees no reason to further prolong this trial, don't you know? This court finds the defendant Luke Atme... I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to do a Canadian accent.
Wait! Yeah, I know, he's called the Canadian judge for whatever
It's
reason.
somewhere between like a Minnesota accent and a New York accent and always being super nice and saying A after everything.
Don't hand down your verdict yet.
Well, Sir Lawyer, welcome to my courtroom.
Who's this hoser, eh? Oh my gosh. My name is Phoenix Wright, attorney at law, and I wish to file an accusation against this man, Luke Atme.
Accusation? You accuse Master Mask?
That man is not Master Mask. He's just a ruthless murderer. What?
Yes.
Nah.
Uh-oh, he's sweating. You got his number, Phoenix.
Yes, I do. So anyway, guys and gals, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Join us next time as Payne Skeletor tries to convict the other guy as the thief, Master Mask. But will Ace Attorney be able to pull the guy in for the real crime, murder?
Ooh.
We'll find out tomorrow on KwingsLetsPlays at 3 p.m. Thanks so much for watching, people. Have a great rest of your day, and check out another cool video later today on something else. God bless and happy gaming.
See ya!